This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic. What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is January 23rd, 2023. Jonathan Osborne here. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke.
Happy Jonathan Isaac Day. Last week I thought that it was Jonathan Isaac Day because he came back with Lakeland, or was that 2 weeks ago? Don't remember. But now, officially, happy Jonathan Isaac Day. It is here. The moment we have all waited for.
As you are listening to this, getting ready to watch the Magic take on the Boston Celtics tonight in Orlando. Tonight should be, by all accounts, the night that Jonathan Isaac makes his return to the Orlando Magic. Very fitting that it is going to be at home at Amway. I'm guessing, not going to be in the starting lineup. I'm guessing he's not going to be probably the first guy off the bench. But when he checks in, and we know Jamal Mosley is very good about when a guy comes back like this, making sure that they check in at a dead ball so that they can get their moment. Jonathan Isaac is going to get his moment at Amway tonight, and it's going to be a very special night. I have some work stuff going on. I'm heartbroken. There's a really good chance that I won't be able to be there. If I can be there, I will be there. I wouldn't miss it for anything. It's been a super long time, Luke. It's been Kobe Price tweeted it out earlier. I forget how many days it's been.
I've got it. So it's
Perfect.
904 days is the amount of time. This is Kobe's tweet. That's the amount of time between Jonathan Isaac's last game on August 2nd, 2020, and his expected return to the Orlando Magic tomorrow versus Celtics. More so, he also explained, and he quote tweeted his tweet and said, also, tomorrow will mark 1,120 days since Jonathan Isaac has played at the Amway Center. And then he adds, should be an electric atmosphere.
So for those of you that might have been on Twitter Sunday and saw, we tweeted out a clip from Jump Ministries Global Church's live stream of their Sunday morning service. We got a tip from a listener, a follower on Twitter, that said, hey, I was just watching this and the pastor mentioned that Jonathan Isaac is completely healed and is going to be playing Monday against the Boston Celtics. So we immediately went to the live stream, played it back, confirmed it, clipped it, put it to Twitter, not to YouTube. And then it just exploded. I think as we're recording this right after 8:30 Sunday night, it's got over 500,000 views, that tweet, which is just crazy. And then shortly thereafter, like, Kobe Price was able to confirm it, from his sources and tweeted it. Shams Charania, same thing, confirmed it with team source, I believe, and then tweeted it. And just to see it everywhere and to see people's reaction to it is really just crazy. The quote that I keep seeing over and over again is like, this has to be the first time a pastor has broken like major NBA news. And it's a first for me. That is for sure. But yeah, it seemed like it was never going to happen. And Luke, we are on the brink of Jonathan Isaac returning tonight.
This is a joke that has been played out on our show. It wasn't a joke from the people that said it. It's a joke from us. It's just amazing, and I'll say it one last time here, that Jonathan Isaac couldn't walk. And now he is returning to the Amway Center after 1,120 days, and he's going to play. He plays basketball tonight. So for those of you who really switched up on Jonathan Isaac after everything that's happened outside of basketball, the fact that he hadn't played in so long, listen, a lot of people thankfully have come out and just said, like, I did say that he would never play again. He should just retire, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people are retracting, and publicly, which is nice to see. People are like, admittedly, yes, that was me. I'm very glad to be wrong. But yeah, it's just a little sweeter now that that's the case, that he is coming back and is going to play again. I really hope that those in attendance let Jonathan Isaac know just how much we've missed his presence on the basketball floor.
I can't wait. Whether I'm there at Amway, 'cause I know the crowd is just going to go crazy, or if I'm here at home, watching on TV, I just can't wait for it. I know it's going to be super special. Going to be very emotional, a lot of goosebumps,
a lot of nerves.
A lot of nerves. We've been watching him play in the G League, and it's just like every time he moves, you're just like, please don't hurt yourself. Please don't get hurt. Like, please just stay healthy. And it's going to take a while, I think, and understandably and reasonably so. The kid hasn't played, basketball in like over 900 days. So it's going to take a while for that feeling to wear off, I think. It's going to take at least a season, I think, of him, being healthy and not missing a ton of time until we're like, okay, like we can kind of calm down and just enjoy watching the kid play. And was watching, highlights from right before he got hurt, in 2020 before we started recording this, and just started to get super, super, super excited. Now he has added a little bit of weight, since then. You can tell he's filled out a little bit more. He's not moving, like watching those clips, it's like, okay, he's not moving quite like that yet, but he's not that far off. He's not as far off as you would think for a guy with a major knee injury, a major hamstring injury, and then missing 904 days. So it's super encouraging to see him out there embracing physicality, cutting, jumping, running, defending, all of that stuff. It's just so great to see Jonathan Isaac playing basketball again. And it's exciting for the Magic, the meme, it's an exciting day for the Orlando Magic or whatever. But this really is, because if Jonathan Isaac is 80% of what he was, which like movement-wise, I would say he's probably somewhere between like 80 to 90% moving the way that he was before, and it's still an active recovery. They say once you've come back from an ACL, it's like a whole nother year until you're like really 100%. And as his confidence, that's a piece of this that maybe we haven't talked about enough. It's like he has to learn to trust his body again, trust that he can do certain things again. And the more that increases and he just becomes more comfortable on the floor, and the instincts and the start to come back, and the rust becomes, starts to get knocked off, he's just going to continue to improve. So everyone, as J.I. comes back tonight, temper your expectations. Like, he looked good in the G League. The NBA is a completely different animal. It's a massive step up in competition. So don't worry so much about how he looks on the floor tonight. The main thing for Jonathan Isaac for the rest of the season is to improve, but to stay healthy, Luke.
Yeah, and improve in one of those areas is just like the minutes played. I don't know what this looks like as far as, how they will handle minute restrictions throughout the season. We've talked about it, but I'm sure that he doesn't play back-to-backs this year, but we will see. The Magic would love to have him in back-to-backs given the play that they have had this season on those occasions, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see how his minutes ramp up. It would be nice to see him ramp up quickly in conditioning with his minutes since he's been in the G League and things like that. But what are your expectations for minutes tonight?
I think he plays 10 minutes. That would be my guess. Like, Jalen Suggs came back, it was like 5 minutes, and then the next game he was playing like 15 or 20, whatever it was. I don't know that we ever got the full story on why he only played 5 minutes in that first game back. I think 10 minutes is appropriate. He's been playing, let's see, I have it here. He's been playing 17.7 minutes per game in the G League. So I think 10 minutes, his first game back, is probably appropriate.
Yeah, and that's what I'm leaning as well. I don't remember who we were talking to or what it was earlier, but that was my guess as well that I floated out there. Anything above that, I'm welcome. Like, I'm open to being surprised. If he gets 15, 20 minutes would be a miracle. I don't think that happens at all. So, because you want to make sure that he's, playing minutes, but also that he's able to contribute. Because the Magic are in a weird spot where we know they're trying to develop talent with like a secondary emphasis on winning games. And so it's just a weird spot to be in. But I would love to see J.I. hit that 10-minute mark, maybe eclipse it a little bit. We'll see. But I'm hopeful that, we'll get answers tomorrow at media availability from Mosley.
I know he's obviously going to be out there like giving effort. That is one thing you've never had to question about Jonathan Isaac on the floor. But if it's 10 minutes, like they tell him, look, it's going to be a hard 10 minutes, I want to see all out Jonathan Isaac for 10 minutes. I want to see him like not like easing kind of into things. Like that's what the G League was for. He's playing 10 minutes. I want all out for 10 minutes. That's what I'm looking forward to. And then, over the course of the next couple of weeks, we probably should see him get close to 15, 20 minutes. And my guess is at some point this season, he's going to be capped out around like 20, 25 minutes at the absolute most.
Yeah, with that restriction of back-to-backs, which more than happy with that. But yeah, I just want to see him, be able to play those high volume minutes, but also, produce as well. But, like you said, ultimately this is about just him staying healthy, getting back into the rhythm of things. It's a weird circumstance. It's not every day that you have a player come back, and who hasn't played in 2.5 years. So we'll wait, we'll see, and we'll find out tonight where he's at and what his minutes will look like.
So for those of you that might need a refresher, or maybe weren't even following the Magic when Jonathan Isaac first got hurt, because it's been 2.5 years now, I want to just give like kind of a recap of everything that happened. So in the 2019-2020 season, Jonathan Isaac was playing out of his mind. On a nightly basis, it was him and Anthony Davis that were kind of flipping back and forth in terms of leading the league in blocks per game. I think Jonathan Isaac was also in like the top 15 in steals per game in the entire league, if I remember correctly. Like we were starting the campaign and clamoring for Jonathan Isaac to be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. And he was on that kind of trajectory. Had he finished out the season the way that he had started, those first, around 40 games, I believe it was that season, Luke, he would have finished as a Defensive Player of the Year finalist. He would have ended up, first all defensive team, all that kind of stuff. Like the kid was on a meteoric rise in terms of defensive superstars in the NBA. And then on January 1st, so New Year's Day of 2020, the Magic are playing against the Wizards in Washington. Jonathan Isaac on a fast break is driving to the rim. Bradley Beal kind of steps in front of his way. Jonathan Isaac goes to kind of Euro step around Bradley Beal. They make contact. Jonathan Isaac's left knee hyperextends. He crumples to the floor in a lot of pain. I believe was wheelchaired off the floor. And we thought the worst. We thought it was an ACL. And then immediately after the game, like he's walking around, he's like, I don't think it's as bad as like we had originally thought. It seems just to be a hyper extension. And then I believe he was going to be out 6 to 8 weeks before the Magic were going to kind of reevaluate what was going on with J.I. at the time. And then right around the time that we were supposed to either get that update or maybe he was going to start to be kind of reintegrated into the lineup, it seemed like his recovery was progressing to the point where he was about to come back. COVID hits, shuts down the NBA, shuts down the entire world, and then the NBA goes on hiatus for about 4 months. They're getting ready to ramp back up, starting the bubble at Disney here in Florida. And I believe the initial thing that we heard was that Jonathan Isaac wasn't going to be participating in the bubble. And then the night before the Magic's first exhibition game, because if you remember, with the COVID restart, each team played like a handful of exhibition games to kind of get reacclimated to playing basketball, kind of get warmed up before the games would start to count again. They were going to play a number of games. I think it was like 9 or 10 to finish out the quote-unquote regular season, and then the playoffs would start at that point. The night before the Magic's first exhibition game, we get news that Jonathan Isaac is going to play against the Denver Nuggets. He was coming back. Markelle Fultz, who had missed the start of the bubble practices and everything like that, we weren't sure if he was going to start the games. He played in this game as well. Him and Jonathan Isaac come in. I think the Magic went on like an 11 or 13-0 run almost immediately. They both looked incredible. Jonathan Isaac in that game in 7 minutes scored 13 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, again, in 7 minutes. So those of you who have been listening to the podcast for any amount of time, if you have heard us refer to bubble Jonathan Isaac, that is the Jonathan Isaac that we refer to. 7 minutes, 13 points, 7 rebounds, an assist, 2 steals, was hitting threes, taking guys off the dribble, hitting pull-up jumpers, double clutch layups, like you name it, wreaking havoc defensively. This was a level of Jonathan Isaac's offensive game that we had never really seen to this point. And all of a sudden it was, if this is the Jonathan Isaac that we are getting adding to his Defensive Player of the Year capabilities and adding that to this playoff team that year in 2020, the Magic had a chance to make real noise. That's why you've heard people joke. You might have heard it on this podcast. When we talk about beating the Milwaukee Bucks in game one and then the gentleman's sweep, you lose the rest of the way, we talk about how if we had a healthy Aaron Gordon, a healthy Jonathan Isaac, a healthy Michael Carter-Williams, the Magic might have beaten the Bucks in that first round playoff series, and I still hold true to that. I still think that is a legitimate possibility. However, a couple of games later, I think it was the third game back for JI, the Magic are playing the Sacramento Kings. The Magic are up 114-86 with 9 minutes, 19 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Jonathan Isaac drives to the rim. Luke and I were live streaming during this game. He drives to the rim, little hop step, and immediately jumps up in the air, falls to the ground, holding that left knee that he had a massive brace on at the time. And I think it was the next day it was confirmed that Jonathan Isaac tore his ACL. And it was just completely devastating. It was devastating to the roster, to the coaching staff, to fans, like Magic fans around the league. Because Jonathan Isaac was back and was looking like a very special player. And then starts the long rehab season. So that next COVID season was shortened, obviously due to the season ending. I believe it was like in October, so they restarted in December. Jonathan Isaac basically immediately was ruled out that entire year. And then last year, the 2021-2022 season, at the beginning of the year, Jonathan Isaac, I forget what podcast it was on, but I think it was Will Kane, asked him, do you think you'll be back by Christmas? And Jonathan Isaac said, I think that is a reasonable projection. Wasn't back by Christmas, wasn't back by New Year's, wasn't back for the All-Star break. And then we were waiting and waiting and waiting, getting into March, really the late part of March, where we were just waiting like, all right, Markelle has come back. Is Jonathan going to come back? And March 22nd, the day after Jeff Weltman, or I believe it was that day, and maybe it was an announcement that night, the report that we got during the day was that J.I. was still progressing through his rehab. There was no updates. He had no setbacks. Then that night, we get an announcement from the Magic that Jonathan Isaac suffered a hamstring injury, was going to require a surgical procedure. So that was March 22nd, and that effectively ended his season. And then we spent the entire offseason talking about, is Jonathan Isaac going to be back for opening night? Is he going to be back for training camp? We didn't get any of that. A few weeks ago, we hear that he is now practicing with the Orlando Magic. And then what is today? Today's going to be the 23rd. So 12 days ago, on January 11th, Jonathan Isaac started his rehab assignment in Lakeland with the Lakeland Magic. And in 3 games with the Lakeland Magic, Luke, averaging 17.7 minutes per game, 15.7 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, shooting 41% from the floor. And now he's back tonight.
I think
what a saga.
I know, and I think it's been said, obviously, on social media. I don't probably one of us said this. The mental strength it has taken him to get to this point is crazy. I mean, I don't think I would have I absolutely would not have stayed the course if this was me. Just because everything keeps happening, right? Like the negatives, it feels like there's no positives. You're finally making your way back. You think you're getting there, and then the hamstring injury happens. And then you have to do a whole rehab again for another injury. And it's like, at what point does the normal person just say, I'm done? I think at that point, I'm done. Like, I'm not doing this. You guys aren't probably telling me much. I'm rehabbing this. I'm done. And so just regardless of what Jonathan Isaac is the rest of his career, I think this is what I will admire most. I don't think that it would be really anything else. I don't care what accolades he achieves, that sort of thing. I'm going to admire most his ability, his stick-to-itiveness to see this through. And so I know that tonight will be a very, very powerful moment for him to be able to step onto the court again after so long. I'm ready to see it. I don't care what the stat line says. I don't care about the box score. It's the night that Jonathan Isaac finally gets his shine. and he gets his flowers for the long, long road that he endured.
Honestly, Luke, I don't think it can be put any more perfect than the way that you just put it. I mean, and not to make light of like winning a title, but how many guys have we seen like win a title? Like, 12, 15 guys every year win a title, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the amount of stuff that this kid has been through, like basketball, like, or extracurriculars aside, like just the injuries and like working back, rehabbing, getting hurt again, working back, getting hurt, rehabbing again, working your way all the way back, 904 days just to be able to do your job again, just to do something that you love again. Like that, I don't know that I would have the strength, the resolve, the resiliency to be able to do that. And regardless of what he does, if he wins Defensive Player of the Year, if he becomes an All-Star, if he wins an NBA title, whatever, this is probably like personally the most impressive thing that he will ever do, is just staying the course all the way through this and making it back when we know there are hundreds and thousands of people that said he would never be able to do it, that he would never see the floor again. So credit to Jonathan Isaac, credit to the Orlando Magic for sticking by him. Obviously, they've made a very large financial investment in Jonathan Isaac, and they want to see that through. And I hope and I pray, it's funny that you talk about Jonathan Isaac. Anytime you talk about anything religious, it becomes like a big deal because Jonathan Isaac. But I pray that this kid can get back to the level that he was at before, because it'd be a fantastic story. Like, if you are a fan of sports, forget about anything else that you think about Jonathan Isaac. If you are a fan of sports, this is an incredible comeback story. If this kid can play at a high level again. And from what we've seen in the G League, it seems like he's going to be able to do that. Like we talked about when Markelle Fultz came back last year, it didn't look like he missed a beat. Jonathan Isaac, his body has changed a little bit, so I don't know if maybe the goal was like, we're going to sacrifice a little bit of that speed and that agility to put muscle on and make you a little bit more durable. But if he is able to move like that still, like you can tell the defensive instincts are still there for him. So I just don't see him taking or having like this big drop off if he is, 90% of the athlete that he was. And who knows, he might come back to be 100% of the athlete than he once was. Like Zach LaVine tore his ACL, is still Zach LaVine and does Zach LaVine things. I'm not saying Jonathan Isaac is that level of an athlete, but I think the biggest question for us was like, is he ever going to play again? Because this amount of time that he missed is really unprecedented. Maybe you look at, Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson probably isn't the same athlete that he once was, given he's a little bit older, than Jonathan Isaac. He's got a lot more miles on those legs and on those knees than Jonathan Isaac. But it's not out of the question that this kid, 3 weeks ago, I had no idea, but what we've seen from the G League up to this point has made me so much more confident that perhaps he can return to that level again. And Luke, this is where I want to kind of end the Jonathan Isaac conversation here. He's not 2019, 2020 Jonathan Isaac, at least not yet. However, he is probably at worst like a top 3-4 defender on this roster currently. Like we're talking about Jalen Suggs, Wendell Carter Jr., Markelle Fultz, Gary Harris. Like Jonathan Isaac, I think is still like right around there with Markelle, Wendell, Gary Harris. I think Jalen Suggs is probably the best defender on this team. Maybe we agree on that, maybe we don't. But it's not like a huge drop-off to get to Jonathan Isaac. Mm-hmm. And with other guys that we've had in the rotation, I don't want to name names, but adding Jonathan Isaac to this roster, if he's getting significant minutes, could be a big deal for this team. Like during the win streak, the Magic were incredible, top 10 defensive rating. So far, in January through, let's see, how many games is it? 9 games in January so far. The Magic have a defensive rating of 116.7, 22nd in defensive rating in the month of January. We've talked about this ad nauseum. That is unacceptable for this roster, for this personnel group. I know we're going to talk about the Wizards game in a little bit, but like Saturday night was a perfect picture of this team that should be really good defensively, just underperforming, Luke. But like that is the area that Jonathan Isaac stands to make the biggest impact for this Magic team, and it could be a real difference maker.
Yeah, absolutely. Offensively, I don't know what Jonathan Isaac will be. We still, even back in when he was healthy, we didn't know what he was going to be, but we did know what he was defensively. And yeah, we need it badly. And like you said, we'll talk about it. But there's a certain guy on the team right now that's really irritating me in terms of and defensively. And I would love for Jonathan Isaac to kind of step right in and do what we expect of that player, but better.
Like, I know this, we're going to wrap up the JI conversation in just a second here, but we love Mo Wagner. Like, we love the energy that he brings. But he's undersized as a 5. He's not quite quick enough to be a 4. We've talked about that a few times. And then Mo Bamba, who can be a great rim protector, but is just like really inconsistent on that end. And then Bol Bol. I said I wasn't going to name names, and here I am naming names. Each of those 3 guys at times have been defensive liabilities in this rotation. If the goal is for Jonathan Isaac long-term to be a 5, if he is your backup 5 and is taking up Mo Wagner, Mo Bamba, Bol Bol minutes, that is going to greatly increase the defense of this team. All of a sudden, you have a legitimate defender who can rotate, who can switch, who can do all the things that Jamal Mosley and this staff want their players to be able to do, and then can still also protect the rim. And then that gives you like another element offensively. I mean, Jonathan Isaac is not the same player that Bol is offensively, but I think he can give you just as much, if not more, than a Mo Wagner, than a Bol. Not so much with the shooting, but other aspects of the game, like actually like getting to the rim. So, yeah, super excited for Jonathan Isaac to come back. Magic fans should be rejoicing. If you're a fan of this team, regardless how you might feel about the kid personally, you should be rooting for Jonathan Isaac, because Jonathan Isaac being good is good for the Orlando Magic. So welcome back, J.I. Luke, let's talk about our patrons. First of all, I want to shout out a very special patron of ours, our boy Armin, who was at the game Saturday night in Washington, brought the Six Man Show patron sign, had our boy Terrence Ross, friend of the podcast, by the way, sign this sign that Armin and his lovely girlfriend Hannah, who, by the way, handles all of our graphic design work. She does an awesome job. But that's love, man. To make a sign like that, to bring it out to a game, get it signed by players. Other people were tweeting like, oh, hey, I was going to tell you guys I saw this sign. So big shout out to Armin. Really, really appreciate the love. If any of y'all do anything crazy like that, like take pictures, send it to us. Obviously, we'll share that to our social media accounts. But we love all of our listeners, all of our supporters. We love our patrons. And we love it when they show love back. So a big shout out to our boy Armin. Really, really appreciate you, bro. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, Patreon is a site where you can subscribe to your favorite podcasts, artists, all kinds of things, just to help financially support them do whatever it is that you love that they're doing. And our Patreon, which you can find us at patreon.com/The Six Man Show, we have 4 tiers of benefits that you can choose from that offer an array of different benefits. And those are all listed out on our Patreon page. You can read through those and decide what is the best tier for you. Part of our Hall of Fame tier and our Elite tier Patreon is that we shout out those patrons on every single episode. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to start with our buddies over at Court Cousins. Again, our buddy Armin, Carson Tulo, Jonathan Borges, Normal, Magic Player History, Julio, Joseph Chubb, Bailey, Gabe Gaines, Bo Outlaw Fan, Wiffle, Michael Martin. Got to go to the next page here. Jamel Miller, Michael Salapong, Franz Go to Fichot, Ryan Singh, The Distract, Mo Bamba, Yo Mama. It's not OKK to say Okiki, Pierre A, Migzors, Nostalgia and M&M's, Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Lil Penny, Eduardo Sanchez, Drum, Danimal, Dutto15, Bobby Skinner, Nate Donnelly, Goody93, Teddy Sylvia, Brian Leggins, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Juan Geraldo, Bill Fulton, Edmund Ligon, Jose Esquilin, Destined for Greatness, Caleb Pete, Cannibalism, Time Mr. TV, Brandon Grace, Chad3045, Joe Rothfuss, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95 Shred, Junior Bruce, Half Rican, Fredo Nation, Shahin177, Ryan Bolby, Himlo, Ban Himro, RMprov221, Ray Pastrana, Magic Kid 714, Let's Spank, Don't Tank, Soft Taco, Jesse, and Barry M. ... Shout out to Barry M. Appreciate you, bro. And shout out to all of our patrons. Again, you can find us at patreon.com/The Six Man Show. Let's get into the state of the Magic, Luke. The Magic went 1-1 on this week. Not many games. We had 4 days off at the beginning of the week, which was weird, but also kind of nice. But that brings them to a record of 17-29 on the season. They have the 5th worst record in the NBA. They are 13th in the Eastern Conference. Still 4.5 games back of Chicago for the final play-in spot. It's a small gap, but the gap is slowly starting to grow. Hopefully, Jonathan Isaac is going to re-energize this team, this defense, and maybe we can win some games and start to close that gap here. So far on the season, the Magic have an offensive rating of 112.4, which is good for 24th in the league. They have a defensive rating of 114.8, which ranks 23rd in the league. Their overall net rating is negative 3.6, which is 26th in the league. Looking at the injury report, a big update. Jonathan Isaac is questionable for Monday's game against the Boston Celtics. Chuma Okeke remains out after that left knee procedure that he had. He has resumed basketball activities now. It was funny. Last episode, we mentioned for a couple of seconds there how it had been kind of the timetable the Magic originally gave us of 4 weeks. They were going to update us, whatever was going on. We got an update. He hadn't resumed basketball activities. And then the very next day after that, we saw him on the court, I think just taking like set jumpers right now. So he's started to resume basketball activities. My guess is we probably won't see Chuma return to the lineup for at least another few weeks, Luke.
Yeah, we'll see. It's been a long time since there's been just one player on the injury report. I don't know when it was, but I'm willing to bet it was multiple years ago. So it's nice to see.
Greater than 3 years ago.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, pretty crazy to think that. But it is pretty encouraging. So, Luke, let's talk about this game on Friday night against the New Orleans Pelicans. Franz Wagner, just a complete monster in this game, Luke. 30 points, 10 of 16 from the floor, hit 5 out of 7 threes, added 6 rebounds, 9 assists. The dude was legitimately doing everything. The Magic with a 13-point victory, 123-110 at home over the New Orleans Pelicans. No Zion, no Brandon Ingram. We don't freaking care. A win is a win is a win for the Orlando Magic. This game was close for the most part. Magic really able to turn things on in the fourth quarter, outscore the Pelicans 35-19 in that final quarter, and get the victory, Luke.
The starters sucked in this game, aside from Franz Wagner. They were awful. But thankfully, in this one, Cole Anthony kind of rectified his, recent stretch of dud games and all of those things and gave us something. To put it in perspective, Paolo was a minus 15 in the plus or minus. Wendell Carter Jr. minus 14. Fultz minus 12. Gary Harris minus 6. Franz Wagner plus 21. Mo Wagner plus 22. Bull plus 21. Cole Anthony plus 19. T. Ross plus 16. So, the bench was the reason the Magic won this game. It was nothing to do with the Magic starters besides Franz Wagner. Dell goes 1 for 8. Paolo 2 for 7 in 25 minutes. Got to the free throw line 8 times, and that saved him, right? Hit 11 points. So 3 of those come from the floor. So, 4 of those. So 2 buckets on the floor essentially is what does that. So it was a frustrating game, but the Magic win, and thankfully it was on the backs of Franz and Cole Anthony. But anytime you can get a win, like you said, they had some key injuries out. The Magic were actually favored in this one to win the game. But as we said a long time ago, we have stopped caring how many players are down. And as you said, a win is a win is a win. So,
like you mentioned, the bench was fantastic. Cole Anthony especially was fantastic. 22 points in the fourth quarter alone, had 11 points, 3 of 4 from the floor, 1 of 2 from behind the arc, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 2 assists in that fourth quarter. Led all Magic scorers in the fourth quarter. Really helped the Magic just kind of push out that cushion a little bit and get a little bit more comfortable and kind of coast to that win in the final minutes. But Luke, I wanted to ask you, I feel like we haven't had this conversation in a while, and I feel like we've just been kind of being patient and just kind of waiting to see what happens with Cole over the course of this season. Now, we're 45 plus games in. In 28 games this year, Cole is averaging 11.6 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists. He's shooting 41.5% from the floor, 31% from the three-point line. He's shooting 90% from the free throw line. Where are you right now with Cole Anthony?
It's whenever you describe somebody as like name, X players player experience. Whenever you add experience to the end of their name, it's not usually a good thing. And what I mean by that is Cole could have a game like he had against the Pelicans, but then he has a stretch of games that he just doesn't perform well. It's like, well, that's the Cole Anthony experience. Cole Anthony is officially an experience. And I really, really was hoping that there was going to be an astronomical jump this year. It's year 3. And I don't really care. Like, I know he can score the ball, but can he do it efficiently? He, like you said, 41% from the field, 41.5% to give all credit, and 31% from 3. Last year, Jonathan, he shot 6 threes a game and shot almost 34% from 3. And this year he's shooting just 3.5 attempts per game and shooting worse. I don't know if it's just the things I can say. The positive is that he is incredible at rebounding the basketball, which is an area the Magic struggle in greatly. But when it comes to Cole Anthony, if he is not contributing on the offensive side of the ball, he's very much a negative. He has gotten better, and Kobe Price tweeted this out the other night, and I do agree that Cole has made strides as a weak side and help defender. And that was right after he had a block in the Wizards game against Rui Hachimura. So there's strides have been made, but he is still not a good defender by any means. His size limits him. I'm sure he's tired of that, but his size does limit him. And like I said, if he's not putting the ball into the hoop, you're probably frustrated with Cole Anthony that night. He's going to shoot. And unfortunately, more times than not this year and in his career as a Magic, it's not a great thing when he is shooting.
I would say for me with Cole Anthony, it's not about like the ability. We know he has the ability to be a great scorer. We're talking about a guy who can seemingly get to his spots and create space at will. It's all about the finishing the play, shot making with Cole Anthony. That's what it's always going to be about. To a certain extent, it's decision making. Like sometimes, you can kind of tell if he has it or doesn't have it that night, and sometimes it feels like he's going to try to shoot his way, out of that. We've seen 3 of 13, performance on the year, 6 of 18, 2 of 10. Those are. I am kind of cherry picking here. Those are his worst shooting performances of the year. But his confidence at some point is almost a weakness. He's so confident that he's going to make the next shot. And you want that in a player, right? Like you want them to believe that the next shot that they take is going in. But it's obvious that some nights he just doesn't have it. And he does have a tendency to settle for jump shots. Cole Anthony is at his best, when the jump shot is falling, obviously. That opens up everything else for Cole. But when he's able to attack the rim and finish efficiently at the rim, that's always going to be the very best version of Cole Anthony. We saw this. So we're talking about this game against the New Orleans Pelicans. 22 points, 66% from the floor, 50% from the three-point line, didn't miss a free throw, adding rebounds, adding assists, just kind of doing it all for the Magic. But those performances from Cole are, I don't want to say like few and far between, but it's like 1 out of every 4, 1 out of every 5 games, Cole Anthony does that on a somewhat consistent basis. The other games, just like let's go back to January 7th against the Golden State Warriors. In 30 minutes, 16 points, 6 of 9 from the floor, 2 of 4 from behind the arc, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal. But then follows that up with a 3 of 13 shooting performance, 8 points, 2 of 6 for 6 points, 1 for 4, 1 of 7, 6 of 9, and then last night against the Washington Wizards, 3 of 7. So Cole can do it. It's just about him doing it on a consistent basis. And I think when we talk about is his long-term role as a starter in this league or as a player coming in off of the bench, that's what separates really good starters in this league from bench players or role players. The ability to do it on a night in and night out basis. And Cole Anthony, he feels like he's proven to be a starter in this league. I don't believe that right now. I don't think that he has proven that he is a starter in this league. Does he have the ability to do it? Yes. But for Cole, it's really just going to be about the consistency. Like, I'm not giving up on Cole Anthony. Last year, I tried to give him a pass, after he had that great start to the season, started to have like the ankle issues, and then was just never the same player. So I was like, okay, maybe he was just never got right last year, but we kind of saw the same thing this year. Didn't get off to like a crazy good start, but wasn't terrible by any means at the beginning of the year. But then has the torn oblique, and misses, I believe it was like 15 games. And now Cole's been back for like 22 or 23 games. And since, we joke 2021, 2022, October, November, Cole Anthony, since October, November of 2021, we have not seen Cole get back to that level. So when we're talking about where does he fall, it's probably somewhere in the middle. Like, we've seen the absolute highs of Cole Anthony. We've seen the absolute lows of Cole Anthony. He figures out the consistency and can be somewhere in the middle. He can be a 20-point per game scorer, shooting like 45% from the floor. That's going to be, in my opinion, like the best version of Cole Anthony. So I'm not giving up on Cole, but I think his biggest issue right now is just being consistent.
Yeah, and it stinks, and I'm sure that the people who love Cole Anthony, and granted, the person...
Oh, definitely getting YouTube comments.
Yeah, for sure. The people, the Cole Anthony, truthers are their pitchforks are out, and it's frustrating, right, to see a player that you love get ridiculed when he had a 22-point game on good efficiencies. But you said the highs and lows, and you alluded to that. The highs are really high and the lows are incredibly low, which is why, despite the highs you have with him, he still shoots 41% from the field. And it's not like he's shooting 41% from the field on 20 points a game. He's not shooting like we would have maybe thought after seeing year one where he shoots, or last year where he shoots 14 a game. His role has changed. If he could be scoring almost 12 points a game like he is now, but on 46% from the field, we would take it. And the truth of the matter is, this is the first year that he has shot over 40% from the field. It's year 3. I'm not getting sucked into this again, where I let a player just like get a pass after pass after pass and keep thinking this is the year that he breaks out. I'm not getting stuck in it. So right now,
Aaron Gordon, we did it with Mo Bamba.
Yes, exactly. Which is why I said I'm not doing that again. So if y'all want to stay on the train, that is fine. But personally, I will not be tore up if Cole Anthony gets traded, whether it be at deadline, something on draft night. I just won't. I don't like tying myself to these players that just consistently show me why I shouldn't trust them, and then I just go with my heart and say, no, I'm going to trust that they're going to break out. It just doesn't feel that way. The trend is not up and to the right with Cole Anthony. And if he goes somewhere else and thrives, great. But right now, we got a lot of young guys. You got to make decisions on who to keep and develop, and who to cut ties with, and say if they turn out, great. But if not, but even if they do, we won't be hurting because we have a great young core anyway. We'll see.
And people have talked about this, to a certain extent, about Jalen Suggs. Like it right now, it's just kind of what is Jalen's role right now? Like, recently they've been playing him as the sixth man, but like when he comes in, like he's not like really facilitating the offense. Like whoever he's on the floor with, if it's Markel or Franz or Paolo, like the ball is still very much going through their hands. Mm-hmm. He's playing, off the ball a lot. Obviously, he's still guarding the other team's best perimeter defender. But like, are you going to try to make Jalen into this guy that can be a lead guard? The Magic have two what are probably going to be pretty good lottery picks coming up in this draft. And if you're at that like top of the draft, like the Thompson twins are there, if you're high enough to select, Scoot Henderson. There's a plethora of really good guards at the top of this draft. And, if you're the Magic, are you going to, continue to, invest in, Cole Anthony, who they spent, I think it was the 16th pick, or was that Chuma? I don't remember who was 15 and who was 16 there.
I think.
But you spend a pick on them in the teens. Are you going to continue to, invest time and playing time into those guys, or are you going to lean more into Jalen Suggs, who you took with the fifth pick? Are you going to, if it's a Scoot Henderson or one of the Thompson twins, another guy that you went with a top 5 pick, and then you have Markelle Fultz, who after next year is going to be a free agent. You're going to have to make a decision there. Like, we all agree that right now Markelle Fultz is by far the best guard on this team. I don't know why you would want to part ways with him. If you had to make a decision between Markelle Fultz and Cole Anthony, to me, that's a pretty easy decision. You go with Markelle Fultz. So I'm not giving up on Cole Anthony, but I would agree with you, Luke. I'm not going to get stuck in this cycle of, oh no, this is the year. Oh no, this is the year. Oh no, this is the year. Because we have done that, and Cole right now at least seems to be continuing that trend. It could change, but it doesn't look likely right now. Don't forget, folks, we got this win on Friday against the New Orleans Pelicans. I hope on Saturday that you got 50% off Papa John's with code MAGICWIN, because every victory the next day, you can get 50% off your online order from Papa John's with code MAGICWIN. I sprung for it early in the day. I went with lunch and then heated it up a little bit later on as I watched my New York Giants get absolutely demolished, while I watched my Orlando Magic get absolutely demolished. It was not a great Saturday for your boy, but make sure that you guys take advantage of that Papa John's offer after every Magic victory. Luke, let's talk about the Magic's worst defensive performance of the year against the Washington Wizards. The Magic give up 138 points, allowing the Wizards to shoot 53% from the floor, 52% from the three-point line, make 18 out of their 25 free throws. Magic lost this game shooting 46% from the floor, shooting 41% from the three-point line. They made 14 threes in this game, shot 83% from the free throw line, only had 10 turnovers in this game. 118 points, Luke, for this Orlando Magic team needs to be good enough to win games. Saturday night, it was not, because the Magic's defense was completely, utterly non-existent.
Yeah. Frustrating, to say the least. The Magic just right out of the gates. You have Franz, who had 3 first quarter fouls. Kristaps Porzingis is doing whatever he wants when it comes to getting to the free throw line. KP shoots 10 free throws in this game. Double digits free throws are just ridiculous to me. Kuzma lights you up. Anybody wanted a bucket, they could get it. Mo Wagner played 8 minutes, but still ended as a minus 11. Playing that Olay defense, right? It was pitiful, to say the least. It stinks that you have to even say it, but you do. Everyone says it. You're not going to win many games giving up 138. There was no part of this game that was fun. You had it to 9 cut it to 9 going into the fourth quarter, and the Wizards almost put up 40 in the fourth to basically, obviously, put you away, win this game by 20. Just, I don't know what was going on. There just wasn't any effort. I mean, there wasn't any besides. Let's see. I'm looking at plus minus here. You're not getting much. That's good. A lot of minus 11s. You can tell who played together. A lot of minus 17s. I think one of my biggest takeaways as of late, Jonathan, is how badly the Magic need to consolidate. Because you're playing, just because guys deserve minutes on your roster doesn't mean it's a good thing. Magic are playing 11, 12 guys on any given night. Last night, the whole active roster gets minutes. What, you had 12 guys play? I know Admiral only played 2 minutes, but Mo Wagner still gets 8. That's not nothing. That's 8 minutes, right? Like that's 3/4 of the quarter of a quarter in totality. Like Bull plays 16, Bamba plays 20, Cole plays 22, T Ross 24, Suggs 13. At some point, you got to consolidate and get more towards like a postseason minded roster. I know right now that is not the case, but come the postseason, the game slows down. You play a tight rotation, 8 to 9 guys. I'm really wanting and longing for the day that we get to see that, where like guys can get in a rhythm. The rotations are rough. And I know it's just because they're trying to develop and things like that, but Mosley's rotations are not awesome. And it's been a glaring issue here as of late as he's trying to figure out this roster. And it's only going to get muddier with Jonathan Isaac coming back. So I don't know. I think that we probably see some rough games coming up as Mo's, adjust to having Jonathan Isaac back, and like, who do I play? Who's just getting out of rotation here? There's so many questions that I have, and all of the Magic's problems were on full display in the 20-point loss to the Wizards.
Yeah, not only is it like who I play, but it's like who do I play together? Mm-hmm. When do I sub them in? When do I sub them out? And what order do I sub them in, sub them out? We've talked about this for like 8 months now. He's going to have so many difficult decisions once this roster is healthy. And then remember, we also have Chuma Okeke, who hopefully will come back in the next month or so. It's just going to get harder. Jamal Mosley's rotations on any given night, it's just like it's a crapshoot. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're awful. Mm-hmm. Saturday night versus the Wizards, they were completely awful. Friday night against the Pelicans, I thought they were great. He made the decision to stick with that bench unit late into the fourth quarter, who was playing really well, kept the Magic lead and extended the lead, as a matter of fact. So when he stuck with that bench unit, I was like, okay, this could go really bad, and it worked out. So I want to give credit where credit is due. I know we can be critical when things aren't great. I want to give credit to Jamal Mosley because he did a great job on Friday night. But you are correct. It's just kind of like flip a coin, like whether or not they're going to be good on a nightly basis. And I don't think the blame is just completely on Jamal. He's dealing with a very difficult situation with guys in and out of the lineup. Hopefully, we're just going to be getting guys back in the lineup. And over the course of the next couple of weeks, he'll be able to kind of figure that out and fine-tune that and figure out how this team is going to have success and just be able to ride with that for the first time in literally 3+ years of a Magic roster. Not only Jamal Mosley, but Steve Clifford had this problem to a certain extent as well, of just not having guys available that you need healthy if this team is going to be good. So, but I say all of that to say this. I don't care what the rotations look like. I don't care who's on the floor. 138 points, a season high for the Magic, an opponent points. You said the Magic wouldn't win many games like this. The Magic would not have won a single game this season giving up 138 points a night. The Magic's highest score this season was 135 points that they scored against the Atlanta Hawks on December 14th, where they had the 50-point first quarter. You give up 70 points in the first half to this Wizards team. You give up 68 points in the second half to this Wizards team, who, for the majority of the second half, were playing without Kristaps Porzingis, by the way, who left this game with an injury. So this has just been the most frustrating thing for me all season long, is that this team should be so much better defensively. And you talked about Mo Wagner with the Ole defense, Bull with the Ole defense, Cole Anthony at times with the Ole defense. As guys get healthy and we can consolidate this roster a little bit and say, okay, these are the 8, 9, or even I would be okay with 10 guys. Like 11, 12 guys is a little bit ridiculous. I know he's always kind of searching for a spark and looking for a lineup that is going to work or a matchup that is going to work to try to win the games. That is very admirable. But you don't see that around the NBA for a reason. Like, it's hard for guys to get into a rhythm with an 11-man rotation. It's just not really conducive to winning. So yeah. I am also looking forward to that. People have started to ask us questions about the trade deadline, even though that is, quickly approaching in the next few weeks here. I'm not quite there yet. We know Terrence Ross is a guy who is expiring. Gary Harris and Mo Bamba are both guys that the Magic could move on from in the summer if they choose to do so. So if you find a team who is looking to open up cap space going into the summer, those are going to be, tools that you can use to do that. So I think the Magic do need to consolidate the roster, and they need to make some decisions, probably sooner rather than later. Like, are you investing in Cole Anthony? Are you investing in Jalen Suggs? If so, then why is Terrence Ross still playing like 23 minutes in these games? Like, I love Terrence Ross. I want Terrence Ross to be on this roster forever, but maybe he shouldn't be playing right now, if the goal is to see what you have with some of these younger guys. So the Magic have a lot to figure out. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that. We don't have the answers. We watch, we observe, and we comment on.
Yeah, for sure. I want to add one more thing about this Wizards game because this game made me mad.
And 10 turnovers. How are you losing this game
so
badly?
That's exactly what I was going to get to. The Magic have 11 turnovers in this game.
Are you looking at ESPN or NBA.com?
ESPN. We have
NBA.com has 10. You guys need to get it together. Is NBA.com right or is ESPN.com right? Because Luke and I always have different numbers.
What does it have for the Wizards turnovers?
For the Wizards turnovers, it has 8.
Great. Okay, so we can say that is how many turnovers it had. The ESPN that I use has it as at 8. That is exactly how you lose this game by 20 points. It does not matter how low your turnover rate is if you are not forcing turnovers. Rui Hachimura is a great talent, but him dropping 30 on our head off the bench is inexcusable. This is where a Jonathan Isaac would be beneficial. He is going to deter guys like Rui from even trying or thinking about getting to the rim, much like a Wendell Carter Jr. is able to do while he's in the paint. So, man, that is the issue. That's exactly how you lose this game by 20 with 10 or 11 turnovers. You don't do anything to force turnovers. The Magic are a young team. We want to see them get out and run. 8 fast break points. 8. In no world should a team with this much energy and this young have only that many fast break points. One more bone to pick, Jonathan, in regard to this game, and then we'll get out of here unless you've got more. The one more thing that I want to screw you, NBA scheduling. Screw you. We play at home, and then the next night we're in DC, just like that. And it's like, hey, good luck, have fun. You know what I mean? So what are we doing? Why is this a thing? I know we limit back-to-backs. We've done things to improve, yada, yada, yada. But giving us, I know we're young, but good Lord, having us go to DC and then get trampled by 20, I am not saying that is the excuse. You should never give up 138 points. I don't care if you play 5 nights in a row. But this did not help this team. And as Philip Rossman-Reich always refers to these type of games, it's a scheduled loss. You just know. So, especially after the Magic gutted out to win against the Pelicans, and it's just ridiculous. That was my last point. Screw you, NBA.
Well, we're on the opposite end of that this week. So let's talk about the week ahead. I don't remember what we said last week. I don't know who was. Did I win this week? What did you say? I thought I had us beating the Pelicans. I'm sure Kevin will let us know after the fact. But let's talk about the week ahead here. So on Monday, the Magic face off against the Boston Celtics. As you guys are listening to this, the return of Jonathan Isaac. Off Tuesday versus Indiana at home on Wednesday. That game tips off at 7 o'clock. Then Friday, you're in Miami to take on the dirty, stinking, freaking Heat. That game tips off at 8 o'clock. And then on Saturday, you're back home for the Chicago Bulls, which I know Luke will be in attendance for.
True.
So I will go first. So this week I have the Magic going 2-2. I think you get a pop from Jonathan Isaac coming back. You're at home. You beat the Boston Celtics, who are going to be without Malcolm Brogdon, without Robert Williams, without Marcus Smart, it looks like. And then on Wednesday, Luke, we're facing off against the Indiana Pacers, who have a home road back-to-back like we did versus the Pelicans and Wizards. They're at home versus the Bulls on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, they're in Orlando to take on the Magic. So I have the Magic picking up both of those games to start the week. and then losing in Miami, and then Saturday at home versus the Bulls.
Okay. I'm going 1-3. I'm saying you win
that.
I know. I'm saying you win the Pacers game because of the scheduled loss. So in that respect, thank you, NBA. But still screw you. The Celtics game, Jonathan Isaac's return, I would love to believe there's going to be a pop, and I believe the crowd will bring it.
I know what you're
going to say.
I think I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
But the Boston Celtics, they want revenge for what you did to them at home. Eddie House, I'm looking at you, big boy. So we'll see what happens this week. But I would love nothing more after all that stuff that happened to beat the Boston Celtics and the return of Jonathan Isaac. I just am not feeling super optimistic after getting blown up by 20. So we'll see. Celtics will want revenge, like I said. So I'm going 1-3. The Heat, they play Tuesday night on TNT, I think, and then they don't play again till us on Friday. Good night. So yeah, I'm sticking with that 1-3. Only win coming against the Pacers.
So I was wrong. I thought you were going to point to the fact that the Celtics have won their last 9 in a row.
Yeah, that helps.
They're due for a loss. That's how I feel. They're due. They're due for a loss. We have their number this year so far. Let's get this win, and let's win the season series against the Celtics. We didn't get the pop when Markelle Fultz came back. The Magic lost that game. There's any game that you're going to get up for against the number 1 team in the East. I think they're the number 1 team in the NBA right now. They are. You already beat them twice on their home floor, so I'm going 2-2. I'm optimistic.
You need it. You need it, Jonathan, because like we said, this gap is growing and the game's back. You know, looking at it, 4.5 right now. Bulls have a pretty favorable stretch coming up. You have to win some games. You have to beat the Bulls on Saturday, no doubt.
That would be sick.
I would love nothing more than a 3-1 type of week. A man can dream, but the Magic need it. So we'll see. It gets a little dark, I think, Jonathan, if the Magic have a bad week this week in terms of
1-3, 0-4 week will be feeling pretty bad. The
discussions will start to change, I believe, but we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, hey, some personal news really quickly. I don't know if you all care. I'm not going to be on the next episode because hopefully I will finally be moving into the house that my wife and I have been building for the last 2 years. So it'll be my boy Luke here and our buddy producer Kevin guiding you all. So I'll be on the Thursday episode. I won't be on next Monday's episode. So if there is a really rough week, at least I won't have to come on here and talk about it with this guy.
That's true. You're lucky, but I know it'll kill you not to be recording on Sunday.
That is true. But there's nothing I can do because I won't have internet. So
it's true. There is nothing you can do. But yeah. So no Jonathan. So tune in. Producer Kevin. We know you love him. You'll at least tune in for him, I hope, even if the Magic have a bad week.
Jonathan Isaac is back tonight, folks. If you're in the area, get your butt to Amway and show that man your love and support. It's going to be a special night. I hope I'm able to be there, but it's going to be a special night regardless. And let's get a freaking W. That would be amazing. That's going to do it for us for this episode. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys are listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!